Naruto Shippuden is a story with some of the best and the most nuanced antagonists imaginable. Amidst its memorable villain roster, one antagonist stands out amongst the others. Yes, we're talking about Pain. The Rinnegan-wielding apparent leader of the Akatsuki is someone who is an antagonist only to Naruto, operating much like his mirrored version. They have the same goal of wanting peace. They have the same desire to protect their loved ones. They have the same sensei. They have the same last name, and yet their paths are so different. However, Pain was able to choose a vastly different path not just because of his changed ideology, but because he had the necessary anatomy to carry an impossible plan out. An anatomy that gives him access to legends, myths, and folklore in and out of the Narutoverse. An anatomy whose mechanisms are something we're going to take a deep dive into today. Who is Pain? What makes him so intriguing? Pain acts as the leader of the Akatsuki during early Shippuden. We don't really see much of him apart from the fact that he appears as a hologram during the Akatsuki meetings, much like the other members. However, his very hologram makes one thing clear. Pain possesses a unique set of eyes that have been foreign to the story so far. Considering his position as the leader of the feared terrorist organization, we also get an idea of this mysterious pair of eyes being something that may give the esteemed Sharingan a run for its money. Of course, we know now that it is the Rinnegan, which are the eyes possessed by the legendary sage of 6 paths. Anyway, Pain seemingly operated from a high-rise building, far away from where the Akatsuki united in the form of their holograms. Together, the members would use their sealing jutsus to draw the tailed beasts out of the Jinchurikis to seal them inside the Geto statue. Sometime during one of the prior arcs, Pain revealed the mission of the Akatsuki that he was spearheading. So why did he need the tailed beasts? Pain set out on a mission to create an explosive weapon using the power of all the tailed beasts. This weapon would wield the power to destroy nations, killing millions at once, which, although it would be a massacre, its magnitude would eventually bring all wars to an end. Then, Akatsuki would go on to distribute such weapons to the different nations and would inadvertently keep wars under their control. Naturally, such a plan is far-fetched, but when you have the Rinnegan, anything is possible. You're practically a god. Jiraiya infiltrates the village hidden in the rain, only to come across an impossible opponent who is almost godly. With the Akatsuki's shenanigans becoming a greater nuisance, Konoha, or the Hidden Leaf Village, fixated on attacking the head of the serpent, which was the leader of the Akatsuki. With permission from the 5th Hokage Tsunade, Naruto's sensei and one of the 3 legendary seinen, Jiraiya, or Pervy Sage, set out on a mission to gather intel on this man named Pain. He had managed to learn that Pain was allegedly in the Hidden Rain Village, a land that has historically been distraught due to war as well as a civil war. Jiraiya hid himself inside a toad called Gamagoro and managed to infiltrate the Rain Village. The moment he appeared from inside the toad, Pain found out about the sudden presence of a strong chakra signature in his village. However, he was surprised to learn that not only was the village not under a civil war anymore, but its previous leader had been defeated by Pain, who now ruled over the village and kept its peace intact. Surprisingly, Pain was a mysterious entity that was akin to God, according to the civilians. On the bright side, Pain had managed to unite Rain Village, preventing it from becoming a war-torn wasteland, and sealed the borders, making it inaccessible to the outside world. But the craziest thing was the rain in the village, as it was revealed that Pain often used a jutsu to create the rain, which allowed him to stay aware of what everyone in the village was doing or talking about at all times. For this reason, Jiraiya had to get the information out of a normal shinobi by trapping him inside one of his frogs. He eventually found out that Pain allegedly lived in the highest tower in the Rain Village, which led to Jiraiya seeking the lion out in its den. But right before that, we got a glimpse of Pain putting his body to sleep inside a pod with the idea of awakening in another. With intel from one of the Rain Village shinobi, Jiraiya managed to infiltrate the building that housed Pain. At first, he was intercepted by Conan, and he was quick to recognize her as an old student, although he was under the impression that they had died. When he realized that she was the Lady Angel, Jiraiya caught on to the fact that Pain was either Nagato or Yahiko. So when Jiraiya came across Pain, the Rinnegan let him know that the man behind the myth was none other than Nagato himself. However, Pain seemed to look quite dissimilar to Nagato, despite possessing the Rinnegan. Pain commenced his attack by summoning an animal without having to use his blood. A giant crustacean appeared to free Conan from Jiraiya's jutsu, and the creature seemed to boast the Rinnegan as well. Pain reasserted his position as a god in front of Jiraiya and went on to explain his plan to his former sensei, but not before telling him that Yahiko had been long dead. Every attack Pain used after that relied only on his ability to summon various forms of animals. A giant multi-headed dog that sprouted more heads when decapitated, much like a hydra, a chameleon that could camouflage with the surroundings, rendering itself invisible, a giant ox, a giant rhino, and a giant drill-beaked bird. Pain had an arsenal full of unbelievable summons, and all of them possessed the Rinnegan. Jiraiya even found it disrespectful how Pain used nothing but summons for his offensive strategy, which made him feel like Pain did not see him as a fighter he needed to directly engage with. As his sensei, Jiraiya knew about Nagato's ability to use all 5 chakra natures thanks to the Rinnegan, and that too with great mastery. Naturally, Pain being a one-trick pony began to raise suspicions. On the other hand, certain shots of Pain's visual footage from the anime helped us understand how the Rinnegans possessed by the summoning animals were linked to the ones possessed by Pain himself. Simply put, he had access to the sights being witnessed by his summons and could make his decisions accordingly without being in the line of fire himself. Originally, Jiraiya had intended to leave the Rain Village after gathering intel. However, knowing that Pain was the child of prophecy who was about to bring great destruction instead of great stability, Jiraiya decided to kill him off with the help of the 2 great sage toads who would allow him to enter and retain the sage mode. But Pain had more tricks up his sleeve as he brought out 2 other bodies. While Jiraiya was shocked that there were 3 people in the world with Rinnegans, the truth was slightly different. Jiraiya was able to blind one of the bodies without witnessing its abilities, but the story was different when it came to the 3rd body, who almost received Jiraiya's giant Rasengan. And then, in front of everyone, that body of Pain absorbed the Rasengan, proving that it can absorb ninjutsu and senjutsu. Taijutsu seemed to be useless as well, since Jiraiya was unable to land physical blows on the bodies. Pain had no blind spots and could block and counter attacks that it should never have seen coming. This left him with the option of using Genjutsu, which was performed by the great sage toads on his shoulders. As Jiraiya and the toads trapped the 3 bodies of Pain under their Genjutsu, he went on to impale them and believed that the fight was over. By now, the only information acquired was that there were several wielders of the Rinnegan, and each wielder could perform only one task, which is why the first wielder used nothing but animal summonings, and the other one only absorbed jutsus. Unfortunately, a 4th body appeared soon after and took out Jiraiya's left arm, who went on to witness not just the 4th body, but 2 new bodies as well as the 3 bodies he had killed standing in attendance in front of him. Everyone had the Rinnegan. Everyone had a hair color similar to Yahiko's, everyone was dressed in the Akatsuki robes, and everyone had several piercings on their faces and ears. However, one of them was Yahiko, and yet he seemed to possess the Rinnegan. Soon after, Yahiko's body revealed that Pain was nothing but an alias that referred to the 6 paths of Pain, which were the 6 bodies. This also meant that all 6 bodies possess 6 different types of abilities. Jiraiya managed to trap the Animal Path, which was the one that used summons, in his barrier, Toad Gourd Prison, and struck it with his Rasengan. Before its death, the path managed to stab Jiraiya's arm and chest, but as it met its demise, its forehead protector slipped and revealed a horizontal scratch that was seemingly made by a kunai. Jiraiya immediately recognized it as one of the scratches his kunai had left on a shinobi from the Rain Village years ago. This made Jiraiya even more curious, since he managed to recognize the identities of 2 out of the 6 paths, and these people never possessed the Rinnegan before. He sent off the body of the Animal Path to Tsunade for inspection with the great sage toad Shima, while Fukasaku stayed with Jiraiya in battle. Jiraiya came back to the surface and took a good look at every path of Pain, which helped him realize that every body belonged to a shinobi he had previously met in and around the Rain Village. It didn't take him much time to deduce Pain's identity after that, but he got his throat crushed. Rendered incapable of speaking, Jiraiya accepted that death was knocking on his door and sent off Fukasaku to Konoha by leaving a message in code on his back. Due to Jiraiya's sacrifice, Konoha got access to 3 things: a shinobi from the Hidden Rain Village, the body of the Animal Path with its several piercings, and the coded message of Fukasaku's back. Inoichi Yamanaka used his mind jutsu to try and learn what the shinobi knew about Pain, and he saw visions of the shinobi carrying bodies to the highest tower in Rain Village. One of the dead bodies that was being carried was revealed to be a woman, and Inoichi managed managed to see her face. On the other hand, Shizune inspected the rod-like piercings on the animal path's body but didn't find anything. And finally, Naruto, Shikamaru, and the Cipher Division in the village successfully decoded Jiraiya's message, which revealed how Pain's real body was not the one among the 6 paths in attendance. Nagato's tragic downfall. A sweetness turned sour by pain and loss. Despite Pain having several bodies, we know that it is an alias, and with Nagato's possession of the Rinnegan, it is not hard to guess that he is the owner of the main body that Jiraiya never got to witness in action. So why and how did Nagato become a villain with a god complex? What caused him so much pain? And why does he even have the Rinnegan? For starters, Nagato hailed from the Uzumaki clan, the same as Naruto, and since his Uzumaki blood was stronger, he boasted the clan's characteristic red hair. The clan was also known for its tremendous chakra reserves, and you'll soon understand why this was so important for him. Years ago, Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha fought one another over their conflicting ideas of what peace should be like and how to achieve it. The fight ended with Madara's loss and apparent death, but not before he had taken a bite out of some of Hashirama's flesh. He continued living and puked out the flesh he had consumed. With Senju DNA added to an Uchiha's body, Uzuma Madara ended up awakening a pair of Rinnegan when he was almost on the verge of death. He had Obito Uchiha preserve them with the intention of implanting them on Nagato. Because Nagato was an Uzumaki, he would have the chakra reserves necessary to host the Rinnegan without dying. And that was how Nagato ended up with the Rinnegan. Considering how most of the Uzumaki were wiped out, it was not like Madara had a lot of options. When we began to witness the miseries that plagued Nagato's life, he already possessed Rinnegan. The Second Great Ninja War introduced us to a war-torn Rain village. Sandwiched among the 5 great nations, the village had become a war-torn wasteland for the other militant nations. Naturally, the collateral damage of such a war was vehemently detrimental to the civilians in the village. For example, Nagato's parents were killed by shinobi from the Leaf Village in front of his eyes. He went on to adopt an abandoned dog named Chibi and met with Yahiko and Konan, who were war orphans as well. The 3 of them became good friends and hoped to become good ninjas, not just for their survival, but also to protect each other out of their shared love. Unfortunately, one day they fell victim to a paper bomb, which resulted in Chibi's death. Eventually, they met Jiraiya, who decided to stay back and volunteered to look after the kids. As time passed, one day Jiraiya realized that one of the 3 kids, Nagato, possessed the Rinnegan. Having been told that he was destined to teach a shinobi who would either bring great stability or destruction to the shinobi world, and also while under the belief that the Rinnegan allegedly never existed out of legends, Jiraiya began to train the kids. Nagato had also begun to use it against his will during moments when his emotions were heightened. This would always result in his enemies dying in mysterious ways, and Nagato, being the sweet and gentle child he was, would regret his actions. However, he only did it to protect his friends, and that was the most important thing to him. But their time together eventually came to an end as Jiraiya had to head back home, leaving the kids to fend for themselves. They grew up to form a group called the Akatsuki, with Yahiko as its leader. They were dedicated to bringing peace and even managed to have a promising start by uniting the people in Rain Village. Eventually, they were acknowledged by Hanzo the Salamander, the nation's leader, who joined hands with the Akatsuki. However, Danzo Shimura, being the awful person he was, began to fear that the Rain Village would form a coalition with the Stone Village and become a threat to Konoha. As such, he curated false scenarios to make Hanzo believe that Akatsuki was a threat to his reign, leading to Hanzo double-crossing the organization. They took Konan hostage and forced Nagato to kill Yahiko, which he obviously was not willing to do. However, as Nagato held a kunai close to himself, Yahiko ran into it, committing a form of suicide. Hanzo then ordered his men and Danzo's root members to kill Nagato and Konan as well. This sent Nagato into a frenzy, and he ended up summoning the demonic statue of the Outer Path. The jutsu resulted in his body getting embedded with black chakra receivers and emaciated him permanently. However, he was able to use its powers to summon a purple dragon that snatched away the souls of all of Hanzo and Danzo's men. Following this, Nagato saved Konan, scratched his forehead protector, and rebranded the Akatsuki as an organization that would make people experience pain to lead them to peace. Disabled and rendered incapable of fighting in battles himself, Nagato had to find a way around his existing disability. He had also lost his legs, which meant that he was confined to being seated while having the chakra rods impaled in him. But as the owner of the Rinnegan, there wasn't much that could stop him. Nagato began to procure the dead bodies of shinobis from the Hidden Rain village, with one of the bodies belonging to Yahiko. He pierced every single body with chakra chakra rods that were similar in nature to the ones attached to his back, creating the look of the 6 paths of pains having several piercings. For a better understanding, let's start with how the Rinnegan works. An ocular jutsu that gives the eyes a purple-colored swirl pattern, the Rinnegan comes with a horde of abilities that are far beyond the reach of the average shinobi. In our video about Kakuzu, we have explained how Jonin shinobis have 2 or 3 chakra natures. However, it is not common to have all 5 chakra natures, as well as yin and yang release, all at the same time, unless you have the Rinnegan or the chakra from all the tailed beasts inside you. Naturally, Nagato had all chakra releases as well as a horde of abilities such as being able to constantly summon different types of animals, absorb ninjutsu, act as a magnetic epicenter to push or pull things towards himself, suck out human souls, and more. However, every Rinnegan has a special ability unique to its individual owner. Nagato's special Rinnegan ability allowed him to control several bodies at once using chakra rods. So, what are these chakra rods? These are chakra receiver demodulators that can be implanted into the bodies of dead people and allow the Rinnegan user with chakra rods impaled in them to control the bodies. Nagato could control up to 6 bodies, which he referred to as the 6 paths of pain. These paths were known as the Deva Path, that is the one with Yahiko, the Asura Path, the Animal Path, the Human Path, the Naraka Path, and the Preta Path. Meanwhile, Nagato himself was the Outer Path. With Yahiko being the one person he changed his goals and ideologies for, the Deva Path went on to become the face and spokesperson for the Akatsuki, much like how Yahiko was the face of the group when he was alive. The Rinnegan with the chakra rods worked in a manner similar to the Yamanaka clan's mind swap jutsu, although it was much more advanced. Nagato and Conan had shinobis delivering dead bodies to their tower, who would then be preserved in pods to be used as bodies for the 6 paths of pain. Nagato, as the Outer Path, would transmit his chakra to the bodies and make them utilize his jutsus. However, each path was assigned a particular type of jutsu, with Yahiko's Deva Path being more versatile than the others, considering how it was Nagato's favorite. Each path of pain, when defeated, could be resurrected again. This also allowed Nagato to acquire a shared field of vision from every path, as well as the summons. They acted as a sort of CCTV, and everybody could counter attacks from their blind spots because another body's visual footage was synced to their vision. This made it impossible for an opponent to defeat pain unless the person fought each path one-on-one, with the other paths being absent from the scene of battle. However, since the chakra rods are transmitters, the paths of pain cannot operate when located too far from Nagato's reach. The reason he sat on the highest tower in Rain Village was because that position gave him better connectivity with his paths, allowing him to use his jutsus, which were of high magnitude. Without such connectivity, the jutsus being used by the Outer Path would inevitably break. However, we don't get to see the 6 paths of pain operating in all of its glory until they attack the Hidden Leaf Village and quite literally change its course. Pain during the assault on Leaf Village. How do all the paths of pain operate? What sets them apart and what inspires them? Pain attacked Konoha to acquire Naruto's body under the hopes of extracting the 9-tailed fox from him. He started infiltrating the village by having one of the paths kill the shinobis patrolling the border. Meanwhile, the Animal Path used the Rinnegan to get through the barrier and summon the other 5 paths inside, all while the shinobis at Konoha were expecting only one person to show up. Soon, the Animal Path and Asura Path commenced their attack by summoning beasts and launching missiles respectively. Animal Path's appearance also caused the chakra rods that Shizune had attracted from the body sent by Jiraiya to react, causing her to understand that these rods are chakra demodulators. However, the body Shizune was doing the autopsy on was the body of the Animal Path Jiraiya had defeated. The body acting as the Animal Path at present belonged to the woman Inoichi Yamanaka had witnessed in the mind of the Hidden Rain Village shinobi. Because we know how Pain's jutsu works, it's easy to put 2 and 2 together and figure out that Pain could just create new bodies when older ones were destroyed. We also got to witness the powers of several different paths of Pain, such as the Naraka Path and the Human Path, who were interrogating the people of the village about Naruto's whereabouts. The Human Path could snatch the souls of its targets, killing them and acquiring all the knowledge possessed by the soul. The Naraka Path did something similar as it summoned the King of Hell, which opened its mouth and dragged the tongues out of the people being interrogated. This would let it know the information held by the person while killing them if they lied or refused to comply. In the meantime, Kakashi, Choji, and Choza engaged in battles with the Deva Path and Asura Path and learned their abilities. By the time Naruto appeared, Deva Path had flattened and leveled Konoha, but since Tsunade's summon Katsuyu had a fair idea over how the paths worked, it continued to keep Naruto updated about its abilities, increasing his chances of victory against the Akatsuki member. To make matters simpler, we will discuss every ability posed by the newer paths without following the pattern of the story, which can only get more confusing considering there's so much to cover. We already know how the animal path works with its summons and how the Preta path absorbs ninjutsu. We also know that the human path snatches souls by placing its hands on its victim. Unlike most of the other paths, however, the human path is not very capable in battle, if at all, considering one roundhouse kick by Jiraiya had taken its eyes out. It mostly specializes in interrogation tactics with its soul ability. Next up, we have the Asura, or the Tendo path, which is a mechanical puppet that can deploy missiles as an offensive tactic. True to its name, the Asura path can sprout 6 limbs and 3 heads, much like Naruto in his Asura mode during his final battle against Sasuke. It was destroyed once in battle against Kakashi, Choji, and Choza. It was destroyed once again by Naruto as it tried to attack Tsunade, but because Naruto was in Sage mode, he took the path down and crushed it with one blow. Coming to the Naraka path, it does a lot more than just suck out tongues and procure information. If a person refuses to give out information or is lying, the Naraka path takes the tongue away. If the person is being honest, the Naraka path spares them, but also leaves them exhausted. This path is also capable of restoring bodies, which is why destroyed bodies of pain are always fixed using the Naraka path. We never get to see Yahiko's Deva path in complete action until its fight against Kakashi. Every attack was almost always repelled, or the path used a sort of magnetic pull to attract its opponent towards itself. Kakashi went on to theorize Deva path's abilities in great detail, as he mentioned how the path used itself as the epicenter to push or pull objects and jutsus away, much like the magnetic laws of attraction and repulsion. However, the Deva path could not perform this feat consecutively, and instead required an interval time of around 5 seconds before reactivating its jutsu. Its ability to attract is known as the Banjo Tenen, or the Almighty Pull. We see Sasuke Uchiha use this on Naruto during their final battle, when Sasuke uses himself as an epicenter to draw all of Naruto's shadow clones towards him. The other technique used by the Deva path is the Shinra Tensei, or the Almighty Push. Anyone who's watched Naruto can recall the scene where Deva path levitated into the air, possibly by repelling the air with his feet, and used the almighty push to flatten Konoha from the center. Before performing this feat, the other paths of pain were also rendered useless because the Deva path required much more than the average amount of chakra to level an entire village. Both techniques can be resisted by using chakra on the feet for grounding, as seen by Tsunade concentrating chakra on her feet to resist Deva path's ability. Considering the magnitude of the almighty push, it took the Deva path a fair amount of time to gain its ability back, making him engage in physical hand-to-hand combat against Naruto. The Deva path is also more versatile than the other paths. It's more tactical in battle, can engage in taijutsu, as seen from its initial fights against Naruto, and can walk or run across water as well. Another ability possessed by the Deva path is how it can extend chakra rods from its arms and impale its opponents. With Nagato's chakra flowing through the rods, anyone who intercepts the chakra rods has the flow of their chakra disturbed. In Deva Path's fight against Kakashi, the chakra rods disrupted Kakashi's chakra flow and made his Chidori's aim falter. It also messed with Naruto's chakra after impaling him to the ground. Towards the end of the battle, when Naruto managed to take down the Deva Path, he used Deva Path's chakra rod to impale his palm and acquired the memories of its experiences in previous battles. The Deva Path has another technique called the Planetary Devastation, or the Chibaku Tensei. The user creates a fist with its hand to activate the jutsu, following which everything material in the vicinity is drawn together by an enormous attractive force, creating some sort of a satellite levitating in the air. This is often used to trap foes. In the case of Deva Path, he used this to trap Naruto in his near-tailed beast form when Naruto had gone berserk as he didn't have much control over Kurama's chakra. To pull off this feat, Nagato had to bring the Deva Path's body close to his location. We see this jutsu used later during the final battle, when Sasuke uses his Chibaku Tensei, or Planetary Devastation, to trap the 9-tailed beasts in 9 satellite-like spheres. He used it once again in Boruto to trap Momoshike Otsutsuki. Finally, we have the Outer Path, which is the one that defines Nagato and is the real body of pain. As the Outer Path, Nagato has to sit at the highest point for access to a greater range. As a result, he can control the other 6 paths better. However, he is weakened from excessive chakra usage and is visibly malnourished. He is also connected to the demonic statue of the Outer Path, or the Ghetto statue, which is the husk of the 10-tailed beast and was summoned by Nagato after Yahiko's death. He would often summon this to seal a tailed beast. This path also exists beyond the realm of life and death and is the biggest reason why a Rinnegan user is akin to a god. It can control life and death and as a result restore lives. During the attack on Konoha, Nagato was seated on the highest mountain peak of the village in a paper fort created by Conan. Inoichi Yamanaka tried to track him down but had trouble doing so because Nagato constantly changed the chakra frequencies. The Outer Path was ultimately met by Naruto alone, who went on to counter the godlike antagonist with the greatest weapon in the verse, the Talk no Jutsu and the swing imagery. Since both Naruto and Nagato have had Jiraiya as their sensei, Naruto brought up the parallels between the two of them. Years ago, Nagato had mentioned how if peace were impossible to find, he would seize it. Being an author, Jiraiya went on to use Nagato and his phrases as an inspiration for the hero in the book he was writing. This hero was interestingly named Naruto, based on the fish cake in Jiraiya's ramen. Later, Minato and Kushina were inspired by the Nagato-inspired character in Jiraiya's story and went on to name their son Naruto. As a result, Naruto's entire character was directly inspired by Nagato. Somehow, this Talk no Jutsu managed to outdo Nagato's sad backstory, and he ended up using the ghetto art of Rinne Rebirth Jutsu to restore the lives of the people who had perished during Pain's assault. However, the jutsu resulted in Nagato's death, as it operated by claiming the life of its user. The fatigue drained the color out of Nagato's hair, making it go white. It is possible that Uzumakis are red-headed due to their high chakra reserves, so Nagato losing all of his chakra inevitably led to his hair turning white. It's not every individual path that made Pain invincible, but their combined usage that made him one of the most formidable villains in the show. This also made Pain a representative of a key theme in Naruto, which is the art and necessity of teamwork. Marvelous verdict! Pain has one of the greatest character designs not just in Naruto, but in all of anime. The eyes, the hair, the piercings, and the Akatsuki cloak are a lethal combination together. And yet, the surface barely scratches the complexity of the anatomy underneath the grand design. And although several Akatsuki members have complex anatomies, Pain is a different beast altogether. With that, today's video comes to an end. What did you think of Pain? Did you enjoy this video? If so, then don't forget to like and comment down below. Until next time, stay safe out there, thanks for watching, and have a marvelous day.